Hi friends, it is Melissa with Junk and Craft Treasures. I'm going to show you some of these breast cancer transfers that Essential Stencil is doing and show you some projects with them. So we're going to do this first set, which is Spooky for a Cause. It's all Halloween for Pink for Breast Cancer Month awareness. So all we're going to do on this one is we are going to peel back our transfer after we've painted our surface white, and then we are going to adhere it, and then we will burnish it in. Once we've got that burnished in, I always start at the top and kind of pull from the top. I do go around the sides as well, and then I kind of meet back in the middle. I didn't do that this one all the way, but that's generally how I did it. But this one was super easy, so we just went straight on down. Then you'll see there where I go on the sides. Excuse me, guys, I've got a cold. I go around those sides and just get that burnished in really well. Y'all, if you are a beginner, this is the type of project you might want to start with. It is very difficult to mess up. A couple rules: you have to have a dry surface, and then you also need to have an oil-free surface, and then you'll have success every time. I put my hand over it just to kind of heat it up, and we're going to put it to the side for about 24 hours, and then we'll top coat it with some Modern Masters Dead Flat Varnish. Now, our next set right here is Wings of Hope. It is another one of the transfers in the breast cancer transfer bundles. And we are going to take this cutting board. I'm using the color Cashmere from Fusion Mineral Paint. And what I do when I do my painting, guys, I know some people are always like, why do you paint the way you paint? I paint in an angle and I do it kind of in a dry brush motion. This helps me in a couple ways of one, not to use too much paint. And then I also don't get those brush strokes everywhere. So this method for me in my painting, the way I do it, works fantastically for me. So I'll do the one coat, which always looks a little bit rough. And then once that is dried, I'll go through and I'll do my second coat, get some of those other areas that looked a little bit different and weird. And then we get everything together. And once that paint is on there and dried, I will sand it back just a little bit as well. So if there's anything that looks a little bit like it shouldn't be there, we'll get it off at that time. Um, this is going to be a really cute project. It's something a little bit different than I personally do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be using the mushroom and the fairy today. And y'all, when I got done with this project, I couldn't believe that I haven't done one sooner because it actually turned out so freaking adorable. I absolutely loved it. If you love it when you're watching this, hit a heart, hit a comment, guys. I am trying to do some new things on YouTube, which is what I'm doing here. So if you like this content, give me some feedback about it. Give me some feedback about like what you would like to see as well, and I'll make it happen. I want to have some content just for YouTube over here. So we're going to see more of this for sure, with the different collections that are coming out soon. All right, guys. So now we've just got our transfer. We've laid it down. Again, same process. We are going to burnish it in, and then I start at the top, work my way down to the bottom. Once we get that completely transferred, I will rub my hand over it like I always do, just to make sure it is all adhered in all the places. Get some of that heat from my hand on there, and then we'll move on to the next step. I did not fast forward this. I wanted you to see this in pretty much real time. So you're seeing the whole process of how long it takes from start to finish. I think I've sped it up like a tenth of a second, so my hand moved a little bit faster, but pretty close to the actual time. Start to finish wasn't more than maybe 7 minutes. So now we're going to burnish her in. And she is so stinking cute. And these transfers work really easy, guys. I know I touched on it on the one before, but in case you fast forwarded to now, you want to make sure that your paint is thoroughly dry, that you are using a oil-free surface. Those are the two most mistakes that people make, is that their surface is not dry, or they have an oil-based surface and the transfers won't stick. They cannot stick to those oil bases. So if you do have an oil-based surface, just give it a very good sanding. Make sure you got all those oils off to the touch, and you can know what I'm talking about when you go through and try to feel it. Make sure that those are off, and then you will be fine to use that board. But boards that have already been oiled, bought at Hobby Lobby and some other places, you've got to sand those, or you're going to have problems with your transfers adhering. And you don't want to go through the whole process and have one transfer not stick and mess up your whole entire project. Anyway, didn't this one turn out super cute? So that is the Hopes of Wings or Wings of Hope in that collection. Now we are back to our Spooky with a Cause collection. This is a 5x5. I get them at Michael's all the time. I'm doing 2 coats of white paint since I've been doing some stenciling with my white. I kept my white brush out. We're going to give that a good dry, and then I'm going to give it a good sanding. I don't have it in this picture, but I did actually run a cloth over it to make sure that none of the sanding little debris was left behind and that the surface was clean. So now I'm going to put down my transfer. Look, I start at the top, go to the bottom. Look how quickly this goes, guys. I know if you're just starting out, it may not go this quickly, but as you use them more frequently, you can knock out those projects super fast. I've got this other stencil from Essential Stencil that says Graveyard, and I'm going to stencil that on there. Stenciling tip, make sure that your brush is dry when you are stenciling. You will have minimum bleed through if you have a very dry brush. And now I'm just taking my pin. It has little different size brown polka dots or things for dots on it. And I'm just applying those in black and pink. And I think this project turned out really cute for Pink October. Look how cute that is, guys. Now we're going to take my frames that I have. They are reversible. You can take the inserts out. You can make all kinds of projects with them. We do sell these, and we sell them with 2 extra blanks per cut. So you actually get 3 blanks. So you get 3 for each surface. You're getting 9 blanks. So now we're going to use our holiday for hope. And all I'm doing is I painted our surface white, and then I'm taking our transfer, applying it over our surface as you see here, and we're burnishing it in. Going to burnish all of these into those interchangeable. This is on the back of the pumpkins in, I think it was Raven. So we've got our snow globe. Then we're going to do our tree. And then once we get our tree on, then we will move on to our gingerbread. So this YouTube video is showing you a very well how to do transfers. We've done some stenciling, but also how to work with transfers, different surfaces for transfers, and how to make them look successful. Also, when you're going to seal your transfers, there's a couple different options. You can use a dead flat matte varnish. You could use a Rust-Oleum 2 times matte. Use something that you read that has a non-yellowing tint to it. All things yellow a little bit in time, especially with white. So if you use something like dead flat varnish or a pen tart product that doesn't white or doesn't yellow, it's going to be better for the long term of your project. So I hope that made sense, guys. And then on this, I've got to use my dotting pen again, y'all. I am obsessed with putting dots on things. And Christmas, whimsy, snow, all that stuff. So I think all of my projects are going to have dots. So be prepared. And then I'm just putting these in back into the frames. And of course, at the beginning we saw we had the skeleton, or not the skeleton, the raven, the pumpkin, and our damask design. So now we have this here. So we can interchange out as much as we want for the holidays. So super cute set. Y'all are gonna have to tell me at the end which one y'all like the best. By the way. Okay, so now we are working back with our I think it's the Hope since transfer set. I can't remember. Angels of Hope. It's not Angels of Hope. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, we're working with that set. I've got the angel. I've got a shell. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some Dixie Belle Bonding Boss. I'm going to do 1 coat of that. You need to let it dry 24 hours. You see crafters, we speed that up. Let it dry for 24 hours. Prep all of them in advance. Then once that is dry, you're going to put a white coat over that dead flat over that Dixie Belle Bonding Boss. Sorry, guys, I cannot talk now. Now, all I'm doing is you'll saw I took my transfer tool, kind of pressed it down in the middle, and then that allowed me to move it over to the sides and down and all of that rather than just sticking it down and hoping it stick in the places. I worked from the middle out, middle up, middle sides. So I hope that makes sense. And then I am just going to go around it, and some parts I'm going to go harder. Remember, on these shells, they do have lines though. So when you pull this up, not everything may have gotten into the line depending on how you actually burnished it into your surface. So you may have to go through and pop some of those bubbles and get those lines out. They're not an issue at all. Just get them adhered in there very well. Next, I'm going to take some gold leaf rub and buff, and we are going to buff this shell. Whenever I do an outline of any of my projects, whether they are wood, mirrors, whatever I do, I tell everybody to start with a light coat around first, and then you can always go and add a darker coat. If you start with a darker coat first and you don't like it, you can't go back and add less, guys. So always start with the less and then add up as much as you want. So, in fact, after I got done with this, I was going to leave the shell completely white. And then I thought, you know what? I want some gold flakes on the inside of my shell too, because I am going to use some resin on this and it will be very, very, I don't want to say glittery, but it's very sparkly. And so I wanted to have some of that sparkle inside the shells too. So that's what I'm doing right here. And then once I get done with that, we are going to be using um, not ultra grip. We're going to be using Fusion's pour resin. Now that is what I use for these particular projects. I use different kinds of resins on different kind of projects. You've got art resin that I use on canvases and that I use on wood signs and things like that. I've got other resins that I use for my molds. I use what is it? Let's resin for my molds for the white resin or for the clear resin. And then for the white resin, I use um, amazing casting resin. But this is a Fusion pouring resin, and that's what we're going to use on the shells. So you're just going to put a good amount in there and then you're just going to swirl it around. You'll see right here, we want it to cover the whole entire shell. The outside, of course, is more difficult, but we're just going to go around all the way. And then once we have that completely all around our shell, guys, we are going to stick this to the side and let it dry for a while. Let me know what y'all think. 24 hours, it cures, and it is so pretty. Okay, last project, guys, is going to be making some molds for some of our whimsy breast cancer Christmas designs. Couldn't think what I was trying to say, guys. So I've got an IOD mold. If you're interested in this IOD mold, drop a comment down. I'm going to have my affiliate links for the molds. And the transfers in the description, so they'll be easy to find. But if you can't find them and you're looking for anything that we use today, let me know and I will help you. So I'm using A&B casting resin. This goes on clear. Well, it actually goes on a yellow clear color, but it dries white once it starts curing. As you can see right there, it's turning white. So it is starting to cure. The work time to pour it is about a minute and 10 seconds. You've got to be fast when you pour it or it'll start hardening and you're going to end up wasting your resin. It takes about 10 minutes to cure. These were not fully cured up at the top where you can see the ornaments. They're a little bit, they're still pliable. They're still fine, no problem. They will turn hard by the time they're done, when they're done curing completely. But now we're just going to paint. I can't talk now, y'all. This is a long video. Now we are going to paint those molds and I'm going to apply these cute transfers. These are from the Home for the Holidays Breast Cancer Research transfers, where all of the proceeds go to breast cancer research. So if you do get this, the pink tool or the other two sets of transfers, they all go the 100% proceeds to the Breast Cancer Research Center. So the first step I'm doing here is I'm just burnishing on all my transfers. Like I said in this video, you are learning how to work with transfers. Do not be scared of them. If you buy transfers, use your transfers. They are gorgeous. I know it's hard to use them sometimes, but use them. That's what they're there for. That's what you bought them for, not just to sit and look at them. They are there for you to actually use and make projects with. So we've used the two gingerbread and the Santa here. Once I get that burnished on, I am going to be using some Rub and Buff. This is what it looks like with nothing else on there, though. I did want to show y'all that you could totally leave that project just like that, and it is adorable. But I am going to add some Rub and Buff, and this is actually Spanish Copper. I love this color. It is a little harder to work with because it is dark, so to go light and then try to go darker, I mean, it's when you get it on there, it is dark. I will give y'all a tip as I played around with these and try to figure out exactly how I wanted it to look. I did get some Rub and Buff on some spots that I did not want it on, but y'all, it's a very easy, quick fix for that. If you have a 90% is it isopropyl alcohol, like I'm doing right here. You can just rub that right off. It comes off very, very easy. And then right here, I'm just doing a little bit of dry brushing on here, and then these will be done. Y'all, drop me down in the comments. Let me know what your favorite project was. Let me know if you enjoyed this video and I should make some more like this to give you some options. And then also let me know what you'd like to see. If you're not following our channel, please give us a heart, follow, share, all those good things, and we'll see you again soon with another tutorial.